Welcome to The Rest is Lean. This is our fortnightly podcast where we talk about all things lean. We try to keep it from last week. We tried to keep it concise and we tried to keep it clear.
Yes.
And I'm joined by my good friends Alan and John. Say hello, Alan and John.
Hello, Alan
Hello,
and John.
Alan and John.
Fabulous. And this week we are going to be talking about something interesting, I really hope. But before we do, I'm going to throw across to you, gents. What have you been doing for the last, whatever, couple of weeks?
Wow. Um, Talking to a friend who is, I would call him a forensic accountant,
Nice.
but he's in the world of lean. Um, I don't think he'd call himself a forensic accountant, but his passion is digging around in numbers. And that was very interesting discussion. Hi, Julian, if you're watching. And yeah, he is desperately searching for the best question. What is the question that people have of their data? Because he loves to immerse himself in challenging questions about data. What do people need to know that they can't find out despite having all the data out? So that was fascinating conversation, really got me thinking. And other than that, and in random news, I will soon be test driving an electrically assisted tricycle. And that's got nothing to do with whippets.
No,
That joke for
Is
those
that
who
through the
watch it
mobility
regularly.
scheme, is it, John?
It's not on a mobility scheme. It's to do with product reviews and things.
Ooh.
Random as hell. What
very
about you, Al?
good.
What you been up to?
Um, there's a couple of things I would say. Number one, I mentioned to you last time about the finance for non-financial managers, put my teeth in. So that's continued. We had the second one of those. That's continued to go well. Um, Also, I do a bit of work with ADS, the aerospace
Yeah.
trade body. So one of the things they are looking to expand on is through cyber
Mm,
security.
mm,
So I've been on a couple of webinars
mhm,
and discussions with various software and IT engineering companies to
mhm,
try and help them with that.
mm.
Okay.
Hang on, Al. I concluded you can barely turn your own laptop on. I didn't know you
Oh
were a
yeah, I don't,
cyber
I
tech.
don't, I can turn it on. I can't, and if all else fails, it's Control Alt Delete. That's about as far as I can go. Okay, you'll be pleased to know I don't deliver that stuff.
No,
Um,
not since the incident.
but an improvement perspective, you guys know I live in Warwick, or in between Warwick and Leamington Spa. And I don't know whether you guys know this, but there's another name for Leamington Spa called Silicon Spa.
All
And the
right.
reason it's called Silicon Spa is because it's got one, if not the highest concentration of gaming studios in the
Mm,
UK.
Right.
Um, and we've been doing some pilot work with a couple of gaming studios in Leamington on how to reduce game development lead times.
Get
mm.
in.
So using a blend of, I say, our approach, a bit of lean and a blend of lean and theory of constraints to
Oh,
help improve the game development lead times. And you know what? It's been fascinating
I bet.
in terms of the variety of games that's out there.
Yeah.
Okay, but
Mm,
also in both camps, in both studios. These are two, and I should say these are two separate projects.
mm,
In both camps, the culture around the willingness to make a change and also see the benefit of how it improves them as individuals. So in terms
mhm,
of the day, and be under no illusion, you mentioned on the last episode, Russ, about we talked about looking through different lenses. You
Mm.
mentioned about the mascot and maybe not appreciating the challenges they go through. I never realised the extent of how many hours are put into
yeah,
game development.
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
It definitely is not a 9 to 5 role. Okay. And also can be quite
Lonely.
lonely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah.
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 Al, can I ask a question on that? So
For sure.
when you said a mix of lean and theory of constraints, to reduce the lead time to develop,
Hmm.
my mind flicked to concurrent
Hmm.
set based engineering and then flipped back to what's the start point? is the start point, we want to make a game that looks a bit like this, or is the start point voice of the customer, or is it somebody has a root toot idea and they say, hey, let's develop that and until we see if it's got legs?
It's the two projects that the pilots are working on at the moment. It's basically they've got a game. Well, sorry, actually, one's is they've got a game they're at a certain point in time in the development cycle. Okay, but ultimately, it's how do we get that from there to market quicker than current
Mhm.
without affecting scope. So
But
what tends to happen is you find out that the game that they in the concept phase and what actually we end up
Yeah.
playing can be incredibly different.
Yeah. It's going to be an open world explorer, but it's going to be done by next Tuesday. I mean, platform
Yeah,
game.
exactly. And then the amount of rework that goes
Yeah.
on
yeah,
in terms of constant developments, refinements and developments of the
I
programming.
I imagine that there's a fine line between rework and development of a creative brief.
Uh, well, yes, yeah, and also it's the changes that happen mid-process.
Yeah,
So you don't fix it at day one, and that's part of the challenge
yeah,
actually, is because if you think about it, the easiest way for me to try and compare it is probably looking at the new product development cycle or new
mm,
product introduction cycle.
Yeah.
Yeah, is how quickly can we bring that to market? Bring the next model year to market. We know how
Mm.
well that our Japanese colleagues have done
Mm.
in the past 20, 30 years of bringing that down. Um,
excellent.
in terms of going back to your point, Ross, in terms of we say theory constraints and lean, say about a blend. I mean, fundamentally, it is looking at, or we all say, if you've got too much whip, your lead times are going to increase.
Yeah,
Rather than a physical product, you're looking at tasks,
yeah, yeah.
Mm.
and it's
Uh,
fundamentally how do you deal and manage those,
yeah, Scrum,
and how
sprint,
do you look at it in a
backlogs, that
different
kind of
way?
thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly. And also knowing generally where the pain points are likely to hit. What you tend to find in a lot of projects, not just gaming, but you'll generally find what they call is the integration point.
mm,
So the point at which all the things are starting to come together, and
yeah,
then you get to what you call the testing phase, and then
Mm.
it doesn't work.
Yeah.
yeah. Now then, so I have something that got me thinking again from the last couple of weeks. So I've been in and out of clients in Leeds, in Norfolk, and
Mm.
in Leicester, and one other place I can't remember. But I was in a tap house, very good tap house, Kirkstall Brewing, just outside Leeds. Big thumbs up to them there. And I saw something I hadn't seen for years, a visual signal by two aging drinking punters. And
Oh,
so one of them had a pint of stout, a cheeky stout of some
Yeah.
kind. One of them had an IPA, bit cloudy, right, just right for me. Anyway, they both cleared off outside to smoke, but before they left, they put their beer mats on top of their pints.
Ah.
Now, I haven't seen that for a dog's age. My generation doesn't do it. The generation below me certainly don't do it. The younger people in the tap house, but it reminded me that we tout all this lean stuff like it's new, but it's all embedded in life anyway,
Yeah.
and there
Yeah.
are a million
mhm.
examples. And that message says we haven't gone. Please don't take our pints away. We're coming back and we're going to finish these delicious beverages.
Mm.
And then I got thinking about the Japanese sake and the fact that the signal you send when your cup is empty is you put the bottle on its side and then somebody comes and fills you up again.
Yeah.
So I've been thinking about tap houses, and also I've had a book in the post, which I've been looking forward to for a long time. Not in the post, actually, I got it in Waterstones. It's called Challenger,
Yeah.
Mhm.
and it's about the 1986 Challenger shuttle crash where sadly seven astronauts died.
Ooh.
But this is a fairly thick, you can see I've turned it on its side.
Yes.
It is a fairly thick dissection of what went wrong through various protagonists' eyes. And I'm really excited to read this because I think it'll be a problem solving.
I was going to say that's going to give a few
From a
anecdotes for the
different
problem
lens.
solving education, I would imagine.
Mhm.
I hope so.
Um, Description and definition of the problem
Yeah.
is probably going to be right up there.
I'm guessing there'll be some communication, some handover, and some management failing in there as well, because there always
Yeah.
is.
Yeah.
But that's Challenger by Adam
Higginbottom.
Higginbottom. So I'm
Thank you
looking
All a
very
forward
good
to
much.
it.
reason why we have cross-functional teams in it, Russ. And
Not
Absolutely
one
right.
that I've come
yeah,
across before, so
different
that's
lenses.
one for the Christmas list, maybe.
Yeah.
Let us know what you think. How long will that roughly take you, Russ? What do you reckon?
Well, the problem is it's not number one in the queue. So I've got four or five. I'm looking up at the books to read shelf, and
Mhm.
there's four or five ahead of it. But sometimes they jump positions if I'm particularly interested. So
Yeah.
to read that's a good month or two because I only read for 10 minutes before bedtime. So
Oh, well, let us know when you finish that one, man. I'd be quite keen to read up that myself because I tend to like more factual things
Yeah.
yeah.
as
Well,
opposed to fiction.
fiction, yeah. Well, I'll give you tidbits as I go along.
Nice, that'd be good.
Well,
Hmm.
we've had a couple of comments come in recently, guys, but it'd be good to get our reflections upon. And one is from a young lady who said that she's very interested in everything we're sharing. Thank you very much. And enjoying the podcast. But don't we think that the biggest barrier to all this lean stuff is people just saying we haven't got time to deploy it? So it doesn't matter how good the ideas are, the concepts of the tools, just we don't have the time to deploy it. So it was just interesting getting your reactions, points to that. It's not specifically a question. It's
Mhm.
more of a observation, I guess.
Okay.
Go on, I'll after you.
Okay. First response I'd probably say is okay, we haven't got time to do it. I presume the young lady in question, is she talking about any particular level within the organization who is saying that, or just generally within the business?
I think that she's seeing it through the lens of somebody who's trying to encourage team leaders to put in place standard ops and get their teams involved in creating the standard ops rather than the nasty generic ones they've got. So, yeah,
Mhm.
they all say it's a great idea, but no.
Okay, and I would just say is first of all, I would say to them, well, what problems are they experiencing? And if they're too busy to solve the problems, that would suggest to me that so they haven't, but they've got time to continue um, potentially manufacturing scrap, throwing it in the bin,
Mm,
watching money be poured down the drain, and do they know what that fundamentally means in the future if we're
mm,
not careful?
mm,
Um, that would normally be my first statement back to them, and I'd be quite keen to understand what their response to that is.
mm, mm,
My experience would normally be normally one of two things. It would normally either be that of silence, which is not a bad thing because I think in some cases they're just processing that in, and I think in a roundabout way that sows the seed and eventually they will come round to it. Okay, that's just been enough maybe to look at it in a slightly different way.
mm.
Um, the second way is that they just bite back,
Yeah.
just say yes, and arguably that's more powerful,
Mm,
not for the right reasons, but more powerful than silence. I would much rather have a silent response than the latter I
mm.
mentioned, because that just gives you an indication of the current culture within that business.
Yeah.
If I get that, then my beef is not with the people who I'm with. That's normally a sign of people further up in the organization who are
Yeah.
allowing that culture and that mindset to exist in some shape or form.
Mm,
And unfortunately, I've gone through that and I'm going through one similar at the moment.
mm. It's always happened. Before Russell chips in, I'd like to reinforce a point you made at the beginning of
Mhm,
your answer, and that is, I think the way past that sort of attitude very often is just to invest a little bit of time. It needs somebody to break out of the
mhm,
loop of we haven't got time, obviously,
Yes.
but to invest a little bit of time in working out the cost of inactivity,
mhm,
i.e., what will it cost us, time, effort, money, whatever, if we don't change, if we don't improve? Because I think once that can be articulated,
mhm,
it's a lot easier to find the time all of a sudden.
mhm,
Yeah.
We don't have time to rewrite them standard ops using the people on the shop. Okay, well, what's the potential benefit? Work that out.
mhm,
What are we dropping, missing, delaying at the moment that we feel standard ops written by the people who should write them would help towards. And whatever that number is, and whatever the unit is, just divide it by two.
Mhm.
You know, under promise massively. But just say, well, we're throwing away the opportunity to claw back 40 hours a week.
Yeah.
40 man hours a week. Obviously, 40 hours a week is a bit challenging because that's a week. 40 man hours a week or so many pounds in scrap or whatever.
Yeah. Show that
That removes a lot of barriers, I find.
establish that there's a prize worth going after here.
Yeah.
Mhm. Mhm.
So,
Do you think they see that though?
well,
Again, I think it takes an individual to break out.
Mm.
Somebody's got to want it to happen. And occasionally, unfortunately, it's the likes of us, an external who's coming to have a look. And we have to almost go off on our own route a little bit and come up with a nugget
Yeah.
of opportunity so that they can sit. Where did you find that? Oh, well, I found that under that chair, but to find more, and I think there's 15 more of them, you'd have to take the time.
Yeah.
Hopefully, it can be somebody within their own organization who's inspired and is just pushing against everybody else. That's a bit easier.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sorry, Russell.
it's okay. No, no, it's good. It's you're steering my thoughts. I'm going to start with philosophy and end with a forklift. Um, I think we need to ask some clarifying questions if we're faced with this, and there are questions to clarify about: is this across the organisation or is it individuals? Because the countermeasures, the investigation path and the countermeasures are different.
Mhm.
If it's an organizational thing, then the question is why is that happening? And sometimes it can be because there is a particularly demanding. I've got one at the moment, entrepreneur, founder, particularly demanding, pushes shed load of work down more than people can handle. And that's because their operating method is I will stop once you squeak.
Mhm.
And you have to the people working for them have to understand that if you're squeaking, you have to squeak and you have to push back and priority give you have to do their job for them in a way,
Yeah.
manage upwards. So
Mhm.
the philosophy bit is
Sorry, Ross, I was going to say, are they okay squeaking? Because I was
no,
just thinking
no,
if
no,
they're afraid to squeak, then it just
yeah,
all it does is it's never decreasing circle, isn't it?
yeah. But
Get pattern
well,
more.
but there is, but again, it's miscommunication.
Mhm.
The gaffer would love them to squeak. They think squeaking is an admission of failure.
Yeah.
And there is a coming together there where we can play a relationship counselor role.
Yeah.
But so it depends whether it's a systemic thing or it's driven by an individual higher up, or if there is somebody particular who's just struggling to manage their time or a level that's struggling to manage their time. The philosophy bit here is time is the only resource we share equally. So
Mhm.
I don't think it's a question of time, it's a question of what are we filling our time with, and our
Mhm.
gaze needs to divert there. If you've got somebody who or a management team who are saying we haven't got time, well, for me it's a qualifying question, as in, okay, we failed to set the expectations correctly. That to do this well, it takes some of your time as well as paying me. You can't you can't delegate this entirely and just say make it so Jean-Luc
Mhm.
Picard Star Trek style.
Mhm.
Individually, it's really quite simple. I had a manager in I had a manager in a small business down in the south where he just wasn't coping. Now, it was one of two reasons. Either he's got 14 hours work for an 8.5 hour day, so he's being pushed too hard, but he wasn't. It was how he was using his time. And if you go to any time management expert, they'll say first thing is do a time audit.
Mhm.
So for a couple of weeks, I said to him, look, humor me here. Can you fill in this little data collection sheet, the styly one that we use a lot? What are the top five things you think you're doing on a daily basis? And then we'll add in others. And he did it for 2 weeks. And then I drew with him a Pareto chart, a pie chart and Pareto chart of how he was using his time. Number one on the Pareto wasn't anything to do with managing the operation. It was being on the forklift, receiving deliveries and shifting stuff around. It was an SME. Number two on the Pareto, signing out, checking and signing out with a final quality overcheck quality check number three within the process for every order that's going out. So
Mhm.
then it becomes, are these useful uses of your time in your position, or are there other countermeasures? And we couldn't eliminate them, but the route was right. If we can reduce that by 50%, that gets you back an hour and a half a day. We need to protect that hour and a half, and we're going to fill it with something more
Yeah.
useful that uses your bird.
Yeah.
So I think it's a mix of I think it's a mix of I think there's a diagnosis piece up front, knowing where it's coming from, and then there is a right, how are we actually feeling our day?
Yeah, it's a good one actually. Rather than the data collection, I have done it subtly different, where I've basically said, well, why don't we sit down and look at their Outlook calendars,
Yeah,
and just maybe look over at the past month, and then
Sampling it.
just talk me through, and you see, so many things. The visual art side of it is, how many times you double, triple, quadruple booked in
Mm.
your Outlook calendar. What's the thing with, what I say for some managers, of all the activities that you're doing, when you are double, triple, or quadruple booked, what's your decision process to choose one of the one, two, three,
Yeah.
or four? Yeah. Um, what's the makeup of each of those meetings? Are they what I would call tactical meetings or reactionary meetings, as opposed to strategic meetings or preventative meetings? Are they going to
yeah,
stop a problem from happening again, or are you just sitting there just to react to a problem that's existing? Okay.
Yeah.
Because you then help them understand in terms of is which prioritize which meetings you should be going on, so use that time more effectively, and then the other ones is maybe you can think of, are there other people that you can at least delegate them to, or arguably maybe more useful going than
Excuse me.
yourself.
yeah,
Yeah. And also looking at the number of people that are in that meeting. I'll give you a great example is, I see some managers that go to meetings, but they've got their line managers on it and their direct reports on it as well.
Yeah.
Why would you have all three of the same level at the same meeting?
yeah.
Is it a
Yeah.
trust thing or a lack of trust thing? Or
Yeah, whatever
yeah.
so going back to Russell's great
Habit.
point, it's the time being used by not just one person, but also it ekes
Yeah.
out how much other time's being used by other people within
Yeah.
the same function,
Yeah,
that could potentially be saved or
you're
used,
right, Al.
sorry, used better.
There is also a go to Gemba part of this,
Hmm.
which is our presupposition so far. Well,
Hmm.
at the moment in this discussion, none of us have mentioned
Hmm.
can we reduce the waste in the task itself in the task
Hmm.
they're doing.
Hmm.
So when you've got a supervisor who is spending an hour and a half at the end of the shift filling in three different spreadsheets, um, which all have similar items, similar entry points on them that could be daisy chained or could be done differently or compensating for a legacy system. Or you have a manager who has to use Teams because Teams is our operating mechanism for communicating in the business, but they're not very good on it. They're a two-finger typist and they haven't been trained to use Teams. So what takes a 6-year-old 30 seconds
Yeah.
takes them 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So there is a work content digital leveraging part to this. And I think probably that's where smart manufacturing, digital manufacturing can be useful. It can free up time from low value activity jobs to free up time to do something more useful.
Yeah, agreed.
Very interesting.
Hmm.
I got a variant on the same topic for you that's just sprung to mind. P.S. If you're hearing a lot of noises, beeps, and buzzes, and my lighting keeps changing, we've had 3 power cuts here in the last minute and a half. So if
Jeez.
this particular podcast has an unfortunate ending, it looks a bit blunt. You know why, folks, because it's been recorded to my machines. Um, and that is, yeah, we were talking about people not having time to act on improvement activities.
Hmm.
We were talking about trying to offer them up the savings of the activities compared to the time they've got available, and looking at why they haven't got time and trying to limit those underlying reasons. I think one of the areas that is we'll call ourselves lean experts for a laugh, but probably one of the ones where innately we know that something is a waste that costs you a lot of time and money and effort is inventory.
Mm.
But I think it is probably one of the harder ones to articulate to others who are maybe not on that same journey or not as far down that same journey that um, if we reduce your inventory, you're going to have so much benefit, but it's worth slowing down all the things you've got going on at the moment and making time to do it.
Mhm.
I think it's
And
very
do it
hard for
well.
people to make that leap
Mhm.
because it's not as transparent, it's not as clear. I don't know if you've got any thoughts or related
Oh,
topics connected with that.
John, with 3 minutes to go, you've opened Pandora's box there. So yeah, about 1,000 thoughts. But I think you've probably given us our subject for next time.
Maybe,
Mhm.
maybe.
Inventory and time, and how if I understand you correctly, John, given that I've been active listening, um, how reducing inventory, if you can understand the power of it well enough, it buys you time.
Yeah.
Yes, it does. It
Mhm.
does. And
I
I think I'll say, it's one of the ones I have most difficulty in articulating the benefit quickly and broadly.
Mhm.
Specifics are very easy. Do
Mhm.
this, that'll happen.
Mhm.
But broadly as a topic. So I would really value the input from you guys as well on how you share that.
Mhm. It's also, I think, going back very, very quickly on the inventory side of things, is it's very easy to see inventory when you're in a manufacturing company looking at widgets.
Yeah.
But also, what we don't want to forget, say a project environment, and I know
Mm.
we've spoken about this many a time, guys, is you're looking at tasks and actions that people are doing.
Yes.
yeah,
Yeah.
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 Is that and it's opening people's eyes that inventory is everywhere, not necessarily the widget that you are making, but
Mm.
in everything you do.
Mm.
If you have too many tasks to do, the lead time and the quality of how you're going to close those tasks um, is going to be negatively affected.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
the
Yeah,
productivity hit from task switching too frequently.
absolutely.
Al, and that's where we come into making the invisible visible.
Yeah.
Well,
So,
So
Russell is demonstrating how high levels of inventory, Russell, is stopping us getting a good review of that nice book he told us about because he's got a stockpile of unstarted books.
that's
He's
a lad.
got
top
half
shelf there.
half read books.
See, I thought there'd be better visual, a bit of visual management there with a
Well, there's a
green dot of
finger. There's a finger out.
one he's read and ones that he hasn't are to be done, and an order which he's going to do them, along with a timeline to say when they should be done and
Yeah.
whether they're on plan or
He's
not.
got such a lot of inventory that there's safety issues when he climbs up the bookcase to reach the next one.
Yeah.
Oh, don't get me started on
No,
the safety aspect, John.
I've just reassessed, and I've put two books to the front of the queue now.
Yeah.
The first one is How Did Ron Weasley Bag Hermione? Who knows? And the second one is My Johnny Depp's Let Himself Go.
I would take that. Yeah, I've stopped beading my beard and
I thought he was
everything.
going to say the Gruffalo and the Stickman were the ones that were on there.
So, do you want to quote before we wrap, gents?
Yeah, go for it. Go for it.
This one again is from James Kerr's legacy book about the All Blacks, and it is let the questioning continue. The ability of the person is in asking questions. Um,
Why?
I think Mick Sand said this years ago. Toshio Roka, he was always annoyed when engineers would watch the line and would be talking while they're watching. I think we've talked about it before, and he said, "Just shut up, watch, and at the end, you better have a question."
Mm.
Because learning starts with a question. It starts with curiosity, and that's how we create a pull of learning rather than a push of learning.
Push. Yep.
Yeah, cool stuff.
Agreed. Russell Sam. Agreed.
Always envious of Russell Sand's Confucius says statements.
Yeah,
So
none of them are mine.
I'm going to randomly deploy the fact that because my surname's D, which is quite an old and relatively rare English name, um, I've got a picture of the coat of arms that's related to the historic source of the name. And interestingly, there's a motto on it. And the shield contains a lion holding up two paws.
Uh-huh.
He doesn't do that face. And in one paw, he's got a little pyramid, and the other paw has got a ball. I just denoting two different things. And the motto is, here is the problem, here is the difficulty.
Ooh. Here is
I
the
think that's
problem. Here
quite
is the
cool.
difficulty.
They are two different things.
Mhm.
Can we pick that up next time, John?
Yeah, I think I need therapy now.
Yeah,
Here is the problem. Here is the
I'm coming over in cold sweat now.
Okay.
Rightio. So Alan has gone into darkness because, as we know, Leamington Spa hasn't got electricity yet.
No, we haven't. They haven't.
Lincolnshire is about to lose it. And Derbyshire appears to be fine.
Yeah, well, I've got
So,
I've got my light on here.
yeah, and he
Yeah,
can burn
well,
books as well if his goes down.
Books.
So we're going to wrap it here, folks. Thank you
Mhm.
so much for tuning in, as always, to our ramblings related to lean, continuous improvement, leadership, etc. Hope you're going to subscribe because it helps out our channel no end. Please put some comments in the description below. And if you're not watching on YouTube, then you can join in with the comments if you like by sending us an email. Alan, where can they send the email to?
Oh, let's do the proper one, and this is the real one this time.
Oh, yes.
None of Russell's faff. Okay, it's therestislean@gmail.com.
that's not what
And
I got.
before we move on, can I just quickly do a bit of a plug for
Yeah.
some of our other episodes? So you mentioned about leadership,
Yeah.
but also we've got our leadership spin-off episodes. So if anybody hasn't watched or listened to any of those yet, please do, and give us some feedback in terms
Yeah.
of what you're liking, what you're not liking, and also if there's any particular types of people, types of leaders, certain industries that you'd like us to try and talk to, drop us a line.
Right.
Righto, folks. See you again very
Thank
soon
you.
on the
Take
rest
care,
of the
guys. Stay safe.
Bye bye.
Bye.